girls. Appreciate you.
That was very good. Thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome to Grace United Methodist Church here in Roxbury, and I'll be your worship leader. Our pastor is Pastor Martin. And the first one in bold print says today is Linda Smith's birthday. So we want to wish Linda a very happy birthday to you. Thank you as well. In the bulletin, you'll see that our annual trunk or treat pass out candy to the Halloweeners. If you want to donate some candy, there's a table going on back there, and you can either put in some.
The one about to show a quick CPR,
Okay.
Lindsay Moore, in order to get lined up for that. I think give that some thought in prayer and see if you can be part of that to make that happen.
Does anybody else have any other announcements today?
This would have signed up.
Postponed for today anyway. All right, thank you very much, Steve. Stand if you're able.
To your creatures to share what you have so freely given. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you. Can be seated. I'll ask the choir to come forward at this time for their number. It amazes me.
Doop, doop. Your tender mercies like a river overwhelms me. Each time I come into your once again, your grace still amazes me. Mystery each day. Only to offer your grace still amazes me. Your love still higher is do a Christmas sit-down meeting here this week to discuss, participate, think about that, pray about it.
It's time, kids.
Tell them why Jim
Is presenting the message at the other churches today because Robin has had some exposure to COVID, so she's unable to preach. So we need to remember Robin in our prayer.
Number 5.
What's your name? Can you say your name? Look like a princess today. Okay, you want to pass it on to Evelyn? What's your name? Number 11, and here's somebody we haven't seen in a long time.
Lucy.
Good. just want to say, and hasn't it been a great week with all that great? Your hair looks great. Great, that's right. Great. All those people doing all those wonderful tennis players and that's right.
Runners.
Great runners, exactly. And we know that there are great basketball players, great singers. I'm going to go hear one of my favorites, Say with the Rain, all that chalk art, okay? But there are great writers themselves, or talk. Who do you think it was? Those guys? A couple of them? There was about 12 of them. And they were all walking. And a little bit later in the day, Jesus said, well, we were arguing, Jesus, about which one of us. We better have a little talk, okay? He must be the least. A servant. Not like Jim always does. What's the definition of a servant? It says helping a person or in the home of a person. Okay? And then she brings you your food. What do you do for your to your mother? For you. Your mother. We need to be servants to one. The girls that we said? The first will be right. Now you're remembering it. So that's what Jesus meant when he said, we must be a servant to all. Even to people we don't, even if you don't like them. Father, we thank you and we pray.
When I close my eyes, one of my eyes
From the 10th chapter, reading verses. What do you want me to do for you? He asked them. They answered him, allow us to sit at your right and at your left in your glory. Drink, or to be baptized. Jesus said to them, but to sit at my right. And when the other 10 disciples heard, you know that exercise power over them. You must be your servant. You know, the disciples were not very good listeners. On his journey to Jerusalem, Jesus told them, waving their resumes in his face and fantasizing about a cushy job in his glorious kingdom. All the talk about the cross went in one ear and right out. Could it be that death? The cross talk, but then it's not supposed to be. Saying this lies in our own worship attendance records. I don't hear anybody on that one. Over the years I've been in ministry in the different communities, I church for a Good Friday service. To sing of a Christmas throned in heavenly, yet markation between Jesus, James, and before Sunday. And with that, you cannot the cross in our worship. Do you realize that many churches today do not even display that? All the different churches they took us to. That's becoming more and more the fact. The number of churches who don't even do communion anymore because, well, why bother with that? When we talk about the blood, who would believe it? Or little significant role in our own redemption process. Jesus did to James and John. And the church in the first century, there was stories circulating even in the early church. It was called to follow him in his and follow me. Right? For I, in the love, a bag of mental tricks to manipulate God or promise neat shortcuts to a happy state of mind. It just doesn't work. The slick talk of carnival pitchmen is directed to people understood by the speaker to be nothing. Our commands of Jesus are direct. And what shall we say of the comfort in his word? And sugar those of the crucified and risen Lord who comes to us in the name. Where would you find anyone who would speak? James and John words, if they had any questions, were furious. Who were they to think that they should be elevated above us? How often does jealousy rear its ugly head when someone else gets the promotion we think we were supposed to get? Probably joyfully. You know, there's an old legend about a holy man who lived in an Egyptian desert. And the demons tried. Children, what is the problem? And he walked up and been appointed Bishop of Alexandria. And immediately the countenance of the holy man fell. You see how easy it is for him? Or the other disciples grieved too at the thought of James and John enjoying some preeminence right in their midst of Jesus Christ. Straightforward picture of the ambitions and the jealousies of the competition that was running rampant in the church. We find out, why I'm getting paid more than they are. That servanthood is the name of our calling, and the style of that servanthood is defined by the crucified Lord. 1950s Life magazine did a feature story on the 10 greatest preachers of this nation. The focus was on the American scene and its churches of this nation. But what was any way with the 10 greatest churches? So what does that tell us? Building a great church building rather than a big name. All fields of business. And when their job was done, they returned to their industry and stayed there, making more salary. One leaves government's decade of wheelers and dealers has witnessed the eclipse of. Thanks be, there are still hosts of servants and locally without God by doing a good job, choosing illustration. A church member, that only leaves us frustrated. It's unlikely that value things different in the way we live out our life of service free. Not someone to. I believe we have another special.
Kind of reserved for the musicians to really appreciate in its most full sense. Ends with the phrase, I want that chord there. And so we have a hard time to let it be. So if you see us look at each other funny a little bit.
Okay, at this